When you use active voice, the action is where it's what you emphasized, and the process or principle being described are more important. Okay, so some of the examples, typically we use the kind of verb such as expand, rise, cool, or form, or describe, that kind of verbs. For example, most countries expand and shrink with variation in political competitions. And also, you may use some intransitive verbs, such as stem from, originate in, or become. For example, originated in the theory of reasoned action. The theory of planned behavior utilizes more constructs in health behavior prediction. So you can still use the intransitive verbs, even though it's two words instead of one, but that's the way it is. That is still good to use for active voice. And other such as the study, the subject, the report, or the paper, they can be the subject of your sentence. So the two simple sentences start from the paper or this study. The first one states the paper aims to examine the relationship between vitamin C and cold prevention. And the second sentence is the study explored. So the subject are the paper or the study, and the verb is aims or explored. The mothers, the second sentence, let me complete that. The study explored the mother's experience of infant death and identified something else. It's incomplete sentence. I just used that as the starter of a longer sentence. So you can see the verb may be a present tense, maybe a past tense, depending on the preference of the journal. You may say the paper aimed to examine or aims to examine. It depends on the journal's preference. And a lot of time you will see how the editor or reviewer comment, and you just follow their preference in order to get your article published. It's not really significant or critical to really keep up with the, to emphasize, to insist on the tense of writing, such as purpose statement. But in most of the description of the procedure of your study, nearly all the verbs are in past tense. And when possible, use person as the subject, such as the researchers, the authors, the investigators, the coordinators, the participants, instead of a matter, such as the study, the project, the report, the paper. Use person is better because really the action, typically only person can take an action, not a study can take an action or the paper can take an action. You may say the research team, that is another good subject to use person as the subject when you write a sentence. So for example, this project coordinator illustrated the functions of mobile apps in whatever else. So use project coordinator, that is a person, as the subject of your sentence. When you write for academic document, you want to keep clarity objective, unity, and coherence, which means consistency across the terms. You don't want to use one term and then use another term in your same document, only if they can be used interchangeably in the same meaning. Otherwise, you want to keep the verbs, the tense, consistent and all across the writing, across the document. When you write academic documents, you want to start from a paragraph. So you want to keep the structure of a typical paragraph in mind, which is typically a topic sentence, which offers an overview or a summary, or lead to the following statement, lead to the supporting sentences, and then at the end have a concluding sentence. That concluding sentence may lead to the next paragraph. So keep the structure of leading or topic sentence and then supporting sentences followed by the concluding sentences. Keep that in mind when you write your paragraphs. Your topic sentence may contain language which will help the reader to logically follow your statement to the supporting sentence. So your topic, the following other examples for topic sentence, like the school district's decision on whatever. That can be the beginning of your topic sentence, or fundamental argument to whatever. The social cognitive theory offered whatever, to follow by the other content, other subject, other object of your paragraph. And other examples like the most important reason, the next step, the consequences of whatever, the result of whatever. These can be the examples of your topic sentences that lead to your supporting sentences. And you also want to clearly provide the structure of the paragraph, such as you have 3 reasons in your supporting sentence. So you may say for 3 main reasons, or in the following respects, or there are 2 methods of whatever, experiments or survey or teaching. And a subject has 2 advantages and 1 disadvantage. So your supporting sentence can discuss the advantages and disadvantage. And the subject, another example is the subject brought concerns in relation to the 3 unsolved problems. Then your supporting sentence can say, first of all, second, third. So your supporting sentence can be more structured to support your leading topic sentence. And when you write your paragraph, here comes 2 examples. The first example is not recommended. The second is when the first is revised to increase the clarity of the paragraph. The original paragraph is what makes intentionally killing a human being, a moral wrong for which the killer is to be condemned, is that the killer did this morally bad thing not inadvertently or even negligently, but with a conscious purpose, with eyes open and a will directed towards that very object. you can see that is a long sentence with a complex multiple clause in one sentence. To reorganize it, the sentence was revised into somebody's finding states that we condemned a person who intentionally kills a human being because he did a morally bad thing, not through negligence or accidents, but with open eyes and a direct will to take the life. This revised sentence is more straightforward and more clear for readers to understand, even though the meaning are the same. So when you write, certainly you can use clause, and you can use when needed. You can write to describe to the purpose of your statement. However, you want to make it as simple, as readable as possible. A simple paragraph with leading or topic sentence is, the topic sentence is the business venture ultimately failed for three main reasons. That's your topic sentence. And then you have the supporting sentence. The managers were inexperienced. The marketing strategy was flawed, and the financial planning was weak. Actually, the green, the supporting sentence actually is in a star from 1 to 3. The topic sentence is actually from the business venture until was weak. So it summarizes the three reasons that you want to point out about why the business venture ultimately failed. And then you have a concluding sentence with these three central problems. There was clearly no possibility for business success. So you conclude, because of these three reasons, then there is no possibility for success. So a topic sentence that lead to supporting sentences, and then a concluding sentence to follow at the end of a paragraph. So keep that structure in mind. That would help you with your writing, because really paragraphs are the major components of any document. And you want to use the transition device or transition words, transition clause. That helps with your transition in your sentences. The transitional linking device are like in addition, or after, or before, or consequently. Those kind of devices can help you to move from one sentence to another. And you want to use formal vocabulary, such as precipitation. It's more formal than rain. Rain is more late language. Mortality is more academic, more formal use of words rather than pass away or die. Death is okay. Death is an academic word. It's more formal. But pass away is more informal, more lay person communication. And try to use precise language for as short as possible, and use narrowly defined language, such as this example. The development of information and communication technologies has been particularly beneficial to people in developed country and the wealthy in developing country. Rather than overgeneralize the sentence like in the red that says everybody has benefited from information and communication technology. That's too much overgeneralized. It's not everybody benefited from information and technology and communication technology. It's just the one who can afford technology got benefits from them. So when you write, you want to be precise when you present your ideas. And try to write your verb tense consistently across your manuscript. And like I said, typically past tense, but depending on the journal's preference, you want to check on that. And typically, we would prefer that use the proper verb tense. Typically, inside a sentence, the verb tense are consistent, although it does happen that the verb tense can be different in one single sentence. Like you may say present tense, and the clause may be in past tense, depending on what you present in your idea. Oops. And normally would not contain a contraction like it didn't. You want to use it did not. You separate did and not instead of don't or didn't for scientific writing. And other hesitation filler like, well, you know, those are lay language. Those are not for formal expression. And also unbalanced sentences. You want to make sure your clauses, either side, are compared with match up. So the first sentence is incorrect. That says that confidence levels of teen girls in resisting drugs were compared with teen boys. Okay, you want to compare teen girls' confidence level with teen boys' confidence level. You don't compare confidence level of girls with boys. Okay, you are making comparison between two confidence levels, not between confidence level and person. Therefore, the revision is confidence level of teen girls is in resisting drugs or compared with those in teen boys. Therefore, those means confidence levels in teen boys. So you compare confidence level with confidence level. And also, when you use more than two corresponding lists, you would use respectively at the end. So the first sentence is incorrect, but the second and third are the correct revision. The first one says the proportion of smokers in various grades in 2020 were 45%, 63%, and 70% respectively. That is not right. You want to say which three grades. They need to correspond with the percentages when you use respectively. So the correct sentence would be the proportion of smokers in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grades in 2020 were 45%, 63%, and 70% respectively. When you have the numbers followed by respectively, you want to clearly state how they match with the actual person, actual group that your number corresponds to. Or another revision can be respectively about 45%, 63%, and 70% of 10th, 11th, and 12th graders smoke in 2020. There are many of the principles that I could introduce. However, due to the time limit, I would rather just go a bit quickly. And typically, an academic writing is a course of 3 credit hours in 1 semester in my program. So it's harder for me to give you all the principles in writing, especially that come with some experiences. But I want to point out some important words that you can start with. That is the more objective verbs like account for, analyze, assess, compare, or critically evaluate, define, describe, distinguish, evaluate. Those are more formal words when you write for academic writing. And words such as examine, explore, illustrate, interpret, and outline. So I do have a long a list of verbs that you can use, that you can practice on your own when you write your academic writing. Certainly, you know, there are just so many principles in writing, but rather I like to show you the words for your further practice. These are the words that you can use these are the transition words that you will definitely use one of those when you write, such as additionally, also, moreover, furthermore, again, further than, besides, to, similarly. These are good words for you in the occasions when you turn or connect with the previous sentence with the following sentence. So I rather present you with these words, and you can obtain a copy of my PowerPoint presentation to read it into more detail. Previously, I gave the workshop in the College of Education, and you know, it was 4 weeks program, so it's not possible to give you the whole ideas and principles in scientific writing in an hour. However, I do want to offer some of the major principles and some resources for your use. And I also have a few sets of academic words in the slides. This is the first set. They are more formal and more objective for your use. And more words, certainly I'm not able to go over each of the words, but feel free to practice, use those words. And some helpful resources are Google Translate. When you have a document in Chinese or other language, when you want to translate it into English, you may use Google Translate. However, you do want to remember that Google Translate gives you some good beginning, but you do need to review and rewrite it. It helps a lot, but it's only, in my experience, about 60–70% accurate. Other software or app like Grammarly, that is, you can download that and pay for it. This is a fee-based app. And here comes a free publication. This is a PDF book that you may use. You can download it for your own use. And there was a webinar that talks about academic writing. This little book is about 100 pages, gives you more details about academic writing, especially for international students. And I also have writing templates that you may use. I will offer those templates as your resources. These templates are like the sentences that you can fill in the blank to help you to start with your scientific or academic writing. When you introduce academic view or literature review for different functions, I got some templates that you may be able to use to fill in, to practice in your academic writing. And at the end, I also have some of the recommended words that are better to use for academic writing. So these are the kind of the words and templates to help the beginner to start with your academic writing. The book that I just mentioned is this one, Practical Guide to Academic Writing for International Students. It is a full book that you can read. It gives you quite a bit of the description about the principles in academic writing. Okay, and at the end, I like to say that I started as a health education undergraduate student in NTNU, and this was my first article in Chinese published in the journal published by the health education department at that time. And that was my first academic writing. At that time, English writing was not really, well, it was preferred, but not as popular. Unlike today, English writing, it's like highly recommended, highly preferred. I'd like you to think about, to start from a brief, even if you are an undergraduate student or graduate student, start your writing and put your experience, put your findings, put your investigation into words that will share your findings with people in the same field. And at the end, I like to show you my transcript when I was in NTNU. As you can see, my English in my freshman year for 4 credit hours, actually, I didn't pass my first exam, and I had to make up my English exam. But today, I'm a professor speaking and writing in English, teaching American students in English. What I'm saying to you is that your starting point may be low. You may feel like, well, academic writing is too far from me. To have an article published is too far from you. No, it's not. As long as you start, as long as you get the principles, as long as you practice, the more you practice, the more you success quicker. And I hope you can start your writing and have a great success in your academic writing. Feel free to share your questions for maybe just 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Sheu, for going through so many important issues about English academic writing, which are very different from writing general English. We have learned how to use persons, voice, paragraph structures, paraphrasing, precise language, tenses, writing resources, and many other topics in this talk about academic writing. So I would like to express our appreciation for the insightful and informative presentation made by Professor Sheu. I believe all our students will benefit a great deal from this talk, and they can be better equipped to work on their English thesis, papers, and assignments. So we now move on to the Q&A session, and we'll be taking questions from our students. I know some of our online audience members do not have the raise hand function on their Google Meet, so you can submit your question through the chat box, and I can ask the question for you to Mr. Sheu, and your question can be either in Chinese or English. We will answer as many questions as time allows. So is there any questions or comments concerning Professor Sheu's talk? Since we don't have a question submitted in our chat box, maybe I can ask Professor Sheu a quick question. You know, a lot of our students are concerned about the issues like plagiarism and citation. So could you, take a few minutes to talk about these issues? How do our students can avoid plagiarism? And do you have any suggestions?
Plagiarism is an ethical issue. You do want to avoid plagiarism when you write. I know for beginners, you frequently want to copy and paste the sentences or paragraph from an existing document, such as a published article. You may copy and paste, however, you do want to rewrite it into your voice. So that means you want to rewrite it to express as your words. You can always copy and paste, but the key is you want to revise the writing using your own tongue to express your own meaning. Okay, so that is important. And because there are software and app online that check on plagiarism. So like Turnitin, professors or journals can upload a document and immediately see what sentence is the same as existing literature. So you may turn a sentence using different subjects, like the researcher change to the subject or the investigator, or you can change the verb or change the subject or the object to revise the sentence. It just cannot be exactly the same. It makes total sense that beginners want to copy and paste and rewrite, but the rewrite portion is more important than the copying and pasting. That would be what I would recommend.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Sheu. I think you just offer us great tips. I think you just mentioned we need to rewrite, we need to paraphrase, don't just copy and paste. And so we can avoid plagiarism, which is a very critical ethical issues in our academic community. Thank you so much.